Welcome to Focus on the Candidates. I'm Cynthia Pooler. My guest today is my friend Alex Portelli, and Alex is in what city?
I'm in Denver right now. Beautiful Denver, Colorado.
In Denver, Colorado, and he's going to talk about how much more thriving Denver is than what's going on in the city of Albany.
Oh,
So,
everywhere. Many cities, but yeah, the most of the country is doing better than Albany and upstate New York, and it's really, really pathetic and sad. And it's nothing but bad leadership. Bad leadership is to blame.
but this has been going on for a number of years, and it's just come to a head.
Yeah, I mean, I would say even decades. I think decades of bad policy in
Mhm.
upstate New York, and I guess it depends where you want to talk about, but it seems consistent throughout. Whether you look at Syracuse, Buffalo, Rochester, Albany, it's we know Albany because me and you are from Albany, but yeah, look, I think the biggest thing, municipal spending is out of control. Taxes are just out of control. Look, a house, I have investment properties out here, and it's not even my primary residence, and I'll pay on a four-bedroom, three-bath house, 5 minutes from downtown Denver, a 1,700 a year in property tax. And if that same house was in the city of Albany, the property tax would be 7 or 8 thousand a
Wow.
year.
Wow.
I mean, and it's nothing but gluttony and stupidity from the people running municipalities. And it's not just Colorado, Arizona. My one sister's in Arizona. Same thing. You get property taxes 1,200 a year. Yeah, outside Phoenix, major metro area. My other sister moved to Charlotte or North Carolina. I forget where. I think Cary. And the same thing, 2,000, 2,500 a year in property school taxes.
Mhm.
So it's just meanwhile, a family in Albany or Troy or Schenectady will pay 9, 10, 11, 12,000 a year in property and school taxes. And that's why our communities look drained, among other things, because then the state taxes are so high as well. But it all just comes down to because the spending, government spending is out of control. And they've just become too used to being spoiled with too much money at the expense of taxpayers.
Now, how many years ago did you run for mayor?
2014, 13, so 12 years ago, maybe
13, right. Okay, so
13.
um we had known each other about a year or so at that point, and it's like, you and I talk about what's going on now in the city of Albany. Think back to when you decided to run for mayor.
Well, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I had really good ideas because I had experience in other places and I knew what Albany needed. And the big thing was making it more attractive than these other cities nationwide. That was we're losing people in business too. It's just a myriad of things. Whether the permit process in Albany is insane. Look, why do you need a permit to have outdoor seating? It's hundreds of dollars a year and a huge five-department process to put restaurant chairs outside of your restaurant. Just make a guideline. Look, keep it, don't block the sidewalk, and that's it. And you can have restaurant chairs out,
Right.
cafe chairs. That's it. Just make a simple rule like that. No need to apply anything, or $500 to build a first floor deck, to build a deck,
Mhm.
in Albany. Why should you just set the guidelines? Look, it's got to use this much, these studs and this size wood, and you don't need you have a right to build it. No need to spend $500. They over permitted everything to the point why would anybody invest in these cities? The spending, I was going through why I was trying to figure out because my parents still live in the city of Albany, trapped there with their house. And, their tax and school bill's like 15,000 a year. And, the city of Albany now, the school budget, they just proved a new school budget. They have 9,000 students and they want to spend $371 million on school for 9,000 kids who half of which can't even read or write properly.
What do you mean 9,000? There's more than 9,000.
No, no, now it's down to I think 9,200 students in the city of Albany. around there for the public schools, and then maybe another I think another 1,000, 1,500 or something for charter. But altogether, yeah, it's not. So maybe it's around 10,000. But for the city of public schools, yeah, 9,200 students.
Now that's all grades?
Yes.
All
And
grades.
so if you divide $371 million by 9,200, you get like 38,000 to like $40,000 a student. Yeah. So the city of Albany taxpayers are paying $40,000 per student. And, here, look, I'm out here with my 1,700 a year property and school tax. That Denver pays 16,000 a student. And the students in Denver actually score higher on reading and math. If you look at Utah on average spends 12,000 a year, just 12,000 a year. You'd think, oh, the kids must be retarded. The kids score higher in reading and math. Fourth grade reading and math levels are higher than in New York State,
Mm.
and they spend $12,000 a year. So why is New York spending 40,000? Why is Albany spending $40,000 a year per student, and they're getting worse scores than places that spend $12,000 a year?
So when you first ran for mayor, you were much younger then. You
Yeah.
see an improvement in the quality of life in Albany at all since you first ran?
No, it's worse. It's absolutely worse. It's more places closed. There's less things to do. There's less vibrancy. The taxes have gone up. More vacant buildings. It's just a dead city. It's a dead city. It's pathetic. And people they forgot what a lively city looks like. It's their downtown. Go to their downtown Albany. It doesn't look like this.
So when you were a kid and your mom used to take you maybe to Pearl Street,
Hmm.
describe Pearl Street back from when you were younger to what it is today.
Well, it's dead now. There's nothing there. And but there's lots of places like that. The neighborhoods have lost their life. And I don't even really go to Albany. Why would I go to Albany? And then also they have the tickets, the stupid cameras, uh, which are very, very hostile. They make people not want to come. They are very entrapment like because you're driving at the speed limit 30 miles an hour. And if you're not aware of the cameras are there, you think the speed limit is 30. And the change happens so quick by the time you realize that it's changed, it's too late. And if you didn't drop down to 20, you're getting a nasty ticket. I got a ticket for doing, and then also they're wrong a lot of the times because I got a ticket once for making a right on red. So I made a right on red, which was allowed, but it thought I was running the red light because I drove forward to make a right and the red light was there. So the camera thought that I was running the red light. So they sent me a ticket. And I said, I'm not paying that. I didn't pay it. Screw them. I just
So
don't go to Albany.
so when you talk to people that are your age in Albany, do they feel as dissatisfied as you?
Well, everybody my age has left. So nobody I grew up with in Albany lives in Albany anymore. Maybe one person. So yeah, they just forget it. They just most of the people I grew up with in Albany, they're in other states. If they're kind of like we're pretty smart and they're educated or they went on, they just moved to another state. They're all over the place. So, but no, they just yeah, they all agree. It's a shit hole, and that's all it is. There's no opportunity there. There's no why would you live there? Why would you buy a home there? And then you have idiots in City Hall, Darius Shanafar, and really arrogant people who are in total denial, and it's just
They're getting lucrative salaries.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's why they're in denial because they're making six figures, you know. That's the problem. Even I was doing going through the numbers. Here, I'll show you of all the different ways that Albany spends more than other cities across the country on things. And Albany is just like the top. Like just spends so much more than other cities. And let's find a good one. We'll do some examples of what they overspend in Albany. So, okay, so the DGS. We'll start with DGS. Residents in the city of Albany pay on average 200 $233 per resident for DGS services. And
Mhm.
does that show up or is it backwards?
I see it. It's on
Yep.
the
Yep. And if you look at other cities, so they pay 233. Meanwhile, you have Omaha, Nebraska pays 134. You have Boise, Iowa, residents pay 136 per resident. Las Vegas, Nevada, they pay 145. So, just when you're going on the averages, Charlotte, North Carolina is 180 per resident. So Albany residents pay more than almost everywhere else in the country for DGS services.
Mhm.
How about employee benefit spending? Look at this. Albany, that's a humongous number. $612 per resident for employee benefits per Albany resident. Meanwhile, the average places will pay 159, $160 per resident. That's outrageous. So they're
Mhm.
just spending so much more money. Even Washington, D.C. residents pay an average of $312 a resident for employee benefits. Nope, double in Albany. But everything is like that. All the spending fleet, they have more cars per resident, more fleet vehicles than most cities. The school spending is out of control. Everything is done more expensive than almost everywhere else in the country. And that's what has made it look so bad, because that costs money. That costs tax money. And
Mhm.
why would a family buy a house in Albany where they're going to pay for this inefficiency and incompetence and have a 12,000 a year property and school tax when they can go to Phoenix, Charlotte, Austin, Texas, Denver, Colorado, wherever, and pay 1,500 to 2,500 a year in property and school tax and save $10,000.
What about the suburbs in Albany? This Colony?
Well, even on a micro level, the suburbs drain people from Albany. You look at Saratoga's lower property taxes. Guilderland, the town of Guilderland exists pretty much solely because it is lower taxes than Albany. Guilderland probably wouldn't exist if Albany had its taxes reasonable levels. Businesses don't go to Albany, they go to Guilderland for the lower taxes.
Mhm.
Um, these suburbs pretty much, because if you look in the past, these suburbs barely existed. There was no point because people wanted to be in Albany. They wanted to be in the city where commerce naturally occurs. But because of the taxes becoming so high, it's artificially destroyed the commerce in the city of Albany, and it's made it so that localized commerce has moved to suburbs, Clifton Park, Latham. But you see that in all the cities, these cities in upstate New York, again, Buffalo, Kingston, Syracuse, all these rundown cities, the taxes got out of control. I would cut drastically. I would try to slash government by 80% plus. I would cut so many salaries. I would remove a lot of positions. I would get rid of the Parks and Rec and have DGS take that over. I think DGS has like dozens of buildings. I would sell off most DGS buildings. They have dozens of buildings, sell them off. The city has all these parks. There's no kids or families left. So you drive around Albany, there's all these parks that just sit empty. What's the point? So I would parcel them off and sell them and have them developed for new tax generating revenue properties. And then again, the inefficiency in the city government, it's just really bad. There's just too much spending on salaries, employee benefits, employee salaries, and it's all patronage, you know. Though it's kind of pointless because now if you people that work for the city of Albany don't even want to live in the city of Albany. So it's not like they're voting anyway anymore.
So, you know, everybody knows that Albany is the state capital.
Hmm.
So from January to June, you have all the legislators coming here, plus um people who lobby come here from all over the state. Uh, but Albany's got a really rich history that is not known. That and you know, if this is the capital and New York is the Empire State, don't the elected officials take pride in the fact that they're representing the people in Albany in the Empire State? What do you think?
Um, well, I mean, I don't think they know anything different, and it's like a frog, a slow boil with a frog, in a pot. They don't realize that it keeps worse. And then in the past, yes, being the capital made it very vibrant with all the legislators and assemblymen and lobbyists. But that was maybe, 100 years ago. Now, even today, they don't stay in Albany. They're going to places outside Albany too. They don't want to stay there. So it's just that when I was a kid, it mattered. You had restaurants. When I worked at a really nice restaurant, you could make a lot of money serving the people from the capital. But even with that, though, I think they spend too much money on legislators. New York State legislators have the most money spent on them per legislator of any state in America.
Mm.
Maybe California's higher, but if discounting California, New York legislators, actually, I did those numbers too. I did those numbers as well, and I'll tell you how much it is. Hopefully, is the light in the way? The light,
It's okay.
okay. Um, Let me see if I could find it, but I think something like between the salary of a New York State legislator themselves and then the money allocated to them to hire interns and st our staffers and all that stuff, it comes out to almost $400,000 a legislator. $400,000 a legislator.
And
And the 400,000, 395,000.
wow.
And the next highest is Illinois at 272,000. And if you go really far down, look, you have states like North Carolina where they spend a total of only $15,000 a legislator. New Mexico, which is zero, it's and New Hampshire, which is $100. And then New York is $395,000 a legislator in compensation.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
It really is crazy.
The spending across the board is just out of control. And when you try to challenge it, the interests come at you for it. Of course, because there's tens of thousands of people who are employed by this apparatus, and they get rich by it. They're getting rich by it. So you make them feel threatened when you start questioning it.
Mm. And you have questioned.
Oh, I've questioned all of it. I've questioned everything, and they hate me for it.
Wow. Now, did your parents agree with the stuff that you've been saying? Because they've lived in Albany many, many years.
They probably do, but it's tough. You have to, if you live in the city of Albany and you're a property owner, you get afraid of retaliation too. So the people are afraid to speak up if they own property. And, they'll get their taxes raised more. It's an intimidation tactic. And that's not unfounded. This goes through the history of Albany back to the machine. That's how it was.
And that goes back to the coining era, correct?
Exactly. Even further to O'Connell's and whatnot. So, that's a lot of people are afraid to speak up. Also, other people don't know anything different. They think, oh, well, at least we have services. No, look, the services in these states where they're paying 1,500 a year in property and school taxes, I'll tell you what, they're just as good, if not better. You know, so I
So,
know firsthand from experience.
you've said many things in the short time that we've spoken today, you know, criticizing the city of Albany. And, back in 13, you decided to run for mayor, and, it didn't work back then because of the petition process.
Oh yeah, the crazy petition process. Well,
So,
yeah. Well, if you want to run as independent, you got to get three times as many signatures.
right.
And it's that's why another problem because then we have no options. That's why we have no options in New York. Whereas you go to other places around the country and they have lots of options.
Right. So, you just brought up a good point, options.
Hmm.
So two major parties have created this where, you know, alternative parties have difficulty, you know, getting on the ballot. Don't they realize that the bottom is going to fall out from under them someday?
Well,
How,
it already is.
but yet they're not doing anything to improve it.
No, I mean, no, even and even within the own parties, it's like it's just the whole petition process of New York State is so stupid. It's so backwards, and it just has caused so many civic-minded activists to leave New York State. They say, "Ah, screw this," and they move to a state where they can actually participate. You
Hmm.
know, it's they can run for office, even in a primary. We don't even have primaries. We don't even have primaries. Look at Florida. Florida, the governor's race for the Republican primary, they had like eight options. They had eight options in the Republicans alone for the governor. We didn't even have a primary. Look at I was just looking at in Wyoming where anybody could pretty much just go on the ballot for Congress. And they had for 500 people, 500,000 people, the Republicans had like 12 options. And in my district, we only had two on the Republican side, and the Democrats had none because the way the process is in New York State is just too much. That you need to either have money or that's it, or you have to party backing, but you need to have money. That's why only
So,
the business people, that's why I got on the ballot in my congressional race. Anthony Constantino got on the ballot, and Rich Amarillo got on the ballot. We're all business guys. We had the money to get on the ballot, but that's not the way it should be. It should be open so that a retiree or a student or whoever, if they want to run, they can get on the ballot.
okay, let's talk a little bit about the primary in the city of Albany the last time.
Hmm.
It was just Dorsey Pleers, right?
Yep.
And Dan Cerruti.
Yes.
And Dan Cerruti was nothing but a faker.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, why do you feel that? I mean, at first I didn't like Dan, but then I did like him. Um, but I don't know. It's tough. It's not easy. It's not easy.
To me, he was nothing but a fraud
Why do you feel that?
because he didn't do anything to win over the people. When you and I went to that little breakfast that Betty Boop said he was talking,
Yeah, he liked to argue. Like here's what's funny is, but that's kind of why I ended up liking him. But the first time I didn't because he could be kind of pompous. But I don't know. He's just upset. He's from Albany. He's upset. Look, when I lived in Albany, if I lived in Albany and was paying those taxes, I would be upset too. But it's not easy. It's not easy to deal with criticism. You're dealing with you're kind of putting yourself out there, making this sacrifice to run for office, and then you're getting people just tearing you apart, and it's like you kind of get kind of jaded by it because you're like, what am I feel like I'm doing this for you, and um, but I don't know. I mean, you have to reach people too, and that takes money. It takes money to reach people. Look at Constantino. Constantino managed to win because he spent 12 million, 7 million to 12 million dollars or whatever it was. You
correct,
know,
correct. But
he could reach people, and that's how you win people over. You
but
can only. Mhm.
I don't think he's going to serve the people well if he wins. I was at a block
I don't.
party.
Yeah,
I was at a block party last Wednesday, and a fellow that was there has a home in the 21st district, and I
yep.
asked him about Constantino. He said he's really frightening.
He is frightening, I think. I'll be honest. I'll talk about him. No, he's very arrogant, very pompous, very spoiled. Um, he doesn't talk about anything. He doesn't talk about any issues. I don't think he understands the issues.
Correct.
And you know, a lot of Republicans are not going to vote for him. A lot of Republicans are voting for Gendabane. And I don't even know if he's going to win or not. I would say it's 50-50. You know, I'd say it's 50-50 if he wins. So I wouldn't even, but again, I mean, if you spend enough money and you reach people, and especially people without social media, that's what I learned doing doors, is there's a lot of people with no social media. They're getting their news from the tube, you know, and they're listening to what the commercials are saying, you know what I mean? So whoever's reaching, that's who decides to vote, the 75-year-old voter with no social media, watching cable TV, whether
You
it's um, yeah, whether they're watching MSNBC all day or Newsmax or Fox or CNN or whatever. That's who decides elections, and you got to reach those people, and you can reach them through their television. And they watch the commercials enough, you bombard them enough with commercials, it's gonna work, you know, and that's what Constantino did. He bombarded them enough with commercials. He spent $7 million on it. It worked. Um, he beat the machine that way.
Yeah, but he's everything that's wrong with politics.
I agree. I agree.
He,
Pompous, spoiled little nepo baby,
right.
brat, doesn't care about anything. Can't have an articulate conversation about economics or serious issues. He just does talking points, but you know, people don't really care that much.
So,
So I'm
so,
gonna move this out of the sun while we keep talking.
okay. So you and I have been talking about different things that concern you and concern other people, but
Mhm.
what are the solutions?
Um, 1 second, I'm readjusting. You said things that concerned other people. Well, the economy, of course, is what concern. It's, you know, remember what James Carville said. It's the economy, stupid.
Right.
So I don't like how this camera. I got a new webcam, and it kind of makes me look like white, like super white, like a ghost.
You look all right.
Okay, let me see. If not, I'm gonna. Uh, but no, what do people care about? They care about the. Oh, I look like Casper. Why is it like that? Hang on, I'm gonna try to do switch to the. I was gonna try to switch to the computer, the laptop camera, but it's not gonna work. So, oh yeah, there we go. Let's see if this works better. There you go. Look, that's so weird. Much better.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, what are people concerned about?
Right.
People are concerned about affordability in the economy. They're pissed. You know, they're pissed that their groceries are out of control.
Mhm.
And yeah, their groceries are out of control, prices, their utility prices. But I mean, those things are complicated. Those things are complicated,
Mhm.
and they're not simple issues. I think a lot of people don't understand a lot of the things, the causes of this. You know, it's both local issues, local things that New York is doing, and also things on the federal level, the government. As I always say, I mean, look, as long as that national debt keeps going up and the government is printing money, spending more money than it's taking in, and there's a deficit, the money, the dollars are going to keep getting more worthless. So your purchase power is going to continue to decline the higher the debt goes and the bigger the deficit gets. It's like the imaginary, it's not imaginary, but it's the invisible damage to your pocket that most people don't understand.
So when I first met you, you ran for mayor, and
Yes.
this past summer, you threw your hat in for Congress in the 19th district.
Yes, I did.
What's on the horizon politically for you?
Geez, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll just keep advocating for these issues. I don't know if I'd run for something else anytime soon. I think that eventually, though, I probably will because I feel as time goes on and the new generations kind of take over, we have to start taking responsibility for these issues and jumping in. We're gonna have to, you know, there's a lot of problems that we have to tackle, and I feel that nobody's really talking about these things. So I might feel I have to. You know,
So
we got. Mhm.
people people are concerned and willing to jump into the arena to to solve the problems? What do you think?
No, most people are not. Most people are not. And the people that run for office are kind of sociopaths. So they don't talk about anything. They do photo ops and they maintain whatever is there. Nobody
Hmm.
really does radical change,
Wow.
you know.
So, final thoughts, Alex.
I don't know what's going to happen with these cities, with these property taxes. It's a tough battle. They need to get property. They would have to do massive reductions. They should do reductions across the board, so every department makes sacrifices, so nobody feels like one uh department or uh is getting picked on more than another.
Hmm.
And but they have to do that. They have to do a lot to get the taxes down, and they have to make the cities more friendly. They got to get rid of those stupid cameras, and that's it. Otherwise, they're just gonna keep looking like dumps.
Wow. So, you're on Facebook, right?
Yep, you could follow my political page, Alexander Portelli, and that's probably the best way to reach me. And
Okay.
that's it. I'm gonna keep doing stuff. I'm like everyone else, though. I'm living life, and have my responsibilities, and so I've been kind of dealing with personal stuff and business stuff, and but I'm still active and involved and advocating for limited government and lowering taxes and repealing taxes.
Okay, great. Alex, I'll see you when you come back to New York.
All right, Cynthia, I'll see you.
Listening to Alex Portelli. I'm Cynthia Pola. This is focused on the candidates. If you like this show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. But more important, if you like what Alex is talking about, please share this video on your social networks because the more people that share, the more Alex's voice will be amplified. Thanks, Alex. We'll talk
Thank you, Cynthia.
and have a great day, everybody.
Good.